What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Crack-A-Pack series. Today we are opening up a pack of Fate Reforged, the big card in this set being Ugin himself. Hopefully we get something really awesome though. I don't ever want to count on a mythic, but that would be really sweet. So of course we are going to go through this as if it's a pack one pick one perspective, so we'll figure out hopefully what a reasonable pack one pick one would actually be if we were drafting this set. So we will go through every card, and our first one here is Ancestral Vengeance. It's 2 black for an enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, and then the enchanted creature gets -1/-1. This is actually a really interesting card, so it is useful in this set, I would say. There are going to be cards early on, especially on turn 2 when this is actually playable, where you will be able to take it out for giving it -1/-1, and then buffing up your creature. It can actually be a pretty significant, but I mean, early on, it's going to be a small swing in your favor. I like this card. I don't necessarily think that it's the best, only because in a lot of instances, you're probably not going to be able to kill the creature. I'd rather have something that's a definite kill spell than something like this, but it is still pretty good. So I'll keep this here for now. Warflare is an instant for 2, a red and a white. Creatures you control get +1 or +2/+1, excuse me, until the end of the turn, and you untap those creatures. These are actually pretty good effects. So these Anthem effects, where they affect all of your creatures, are really powerful. And then on top of that, being able to untap all of them means that you can use it as a defense spell if need be. So you can actually use this on your opponent's turn, maybe after you've swung, and swing a game in your favor significantly. Very quick story, if you didn't watch Magic Wars, in that game against Tyler, I had a card very similar to this in the new Ravnica Allegiance set that let me untap all of my creatures and then give them all a buff, and I blew him out on that turn. Literally, like, took out his entire board. It was amazing. So that's a niche instance. Obviously, you can't always bank on something like that, but in a go-wide strategy, which there are ways of doing go-wide strategies in this set, this is a really powerful card. I do like banking on this a little bit more than the Vengeance. I don't like that it's a gold card. Taking that right off the bat seems a little bit, just a little bit hasty. But that being said, multicolor decks in this format are very easy to make. So not super unhappy to take that over the Vengeance so far. Soul Summons is a sorcery for 1 and a white. You manifest the top card of your library. So you put it onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature, and then you can turn it up at any time. You can turn it face up at any time for its mana cost if it is a creature. If it's not a creature, you cannot do that. But this actually is an okay card. It's a 2-mana 2/2 is essentially what it is. That might give you some upside later on. So I do like this. I don't like it as like a first pick at all. It's not good enough for that, but it is an okay card. Sultai Skullkeeper is a 2/1 for 1 and a blue. When it enters the battlefield, you put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Self-mill is an interesting strategy, one that tends to be a little bit tricky usually and limited, but there's definitely ways to do it. The Sultai deck definitely likes some self-mill stuff, and this is just a key card for it. It's a decent 2-drop. It's a 2/1 for 2, so it's kind of on par. But it also is just forwarding your game plan if you're in that game plan. So I do like it, but not really as a first pick. Reach of Shadows is 4 and a black for an instant. Destroy target creature that's 1 or more colors. As I said before, multicolor cards are pretty common in this set. They're not really the focus. It's not like Ravnica where that's like the whole focus of the set, but they are, a lot of this set is based on 3-color strategies, Sultai being one of them, I believe Jeskai being one. All of those like 3-color strategies are in this set. It's just that they're not necessarily focused on gold cards quite as much as just basically synergistic colors. So this is an okay card. I don't really love it, if I'm gonna be honest. It's not always gonna find a home, and so for that reason I don't think I would take that first. Harsh Sustenance is 1 a white and a black for an instant. It deals X damage to target creature or player, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures that you control. Again, we're seeing that go wide strategy, which is pretty powerful. I actually like this a little bit more, I think, than War Flare, because it is a little bit more determined as a kill spell for a creature. You're not as reliant on either attacking or blocking. It is actually just a here, deal X damage kind of spell. It actually can also just win you the game by just dealing X to a player. I like that flexibility. And so if you're in a go wide strategy, I think I would rather have this than the War Flare, but honestly, both would be great. Whisper of the Wilds is a 0/2 for 1 and a green. You can tap it to add 1 green to your mana pool. And this also features Ferocious, so you can tap it and add 2 green to your mana pool, but you can only activate this ability if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. I will say in my experience, I did play a little bit with this set. Ferocious was not too difficult to actually come by. There are a lot of really powerful green spells, and this, being a ramp card, actually helps you get there. So I really like a card like this. To be honest, I don't know if I'd pick this over Harsh Sustenance, but it's kind of up there for me. And so I'm going to keep it here for now. Collateral Damage, an instant for 1 red. As an additional cost to cast it, you sacrifice a creature, and it deals 3 damage to target creature or player. This is okay. It's efficient in terms of its mana cost, which is good. But I don't really like having to sacrifice a creature in Limited. Most of the games you play in Limited are going to be one on the board, so having to sacrifice a creature, even if it is a smaller creature, kind of tips the odds ever in the other player's favor. But I like the flexibility. It does hit creatures and or players, and so I do like that, but I think we've got better picks so far. Teamer Runemark is 2 and a green for an enchant creature. The creature gets +2/+2 and has trample as long as you control a blue or a red permanent. So this is what we're seeing by that synergy. It's not a gold card, but it gets a buff if you have a blue or a red permanent, and that's the Teamer clan basically. So I don't like enchant creatures. Most of you guys know that, because in Limited it opens yourself up for the 2-for-1ing, which is not good. So I don't like a card like this. There are instances where they are good, but generally I tend to shy away from them. Right into Being is a sorcery for 2 and a blue. Look at the top 2 cards of your library, manifest one of those cards, then put the other on top or on bottom of your library. So it's a little bit of filtering, but it also gives you a creature. I definitely like this more than the white 2-drop that basically does the same thing but without the filtering. This gives you some options, which is really, really good. So I do like this card. I don't think I like it more than the other cards that we've got, but being able to filter which card actually gets manifested is really, really key, because depending on the instance or the board state, what decks you're against, things like that, it's really, really important to make sure that you are manifesting the best card for your situation. So Pyrotechnics is 4 and a red for a sorcery. It deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players. This is just straight up burn, and it's awesome. Straight up burn is great in Limited, especially stuff that you can divide like this to take care of maybe multiple threats. I definitely think this beats out what we've got so far, and 4 damage is a lot. Yes, it's 5 mana and only sorcery speed, but being able to divide that makes that really, really key. You can take out hopefully 1 or 2 threats on the field, or just deal a few points of damage to your opponent if need be. So you're not really wasting any of that 4 points of burn. So I really, really like that for sure. Humble Defector is a 2/1 for 1 and a red. You can tap it and draw 2 cards, and then target opponent gains control of the Defector. Activate this ability only during your turn. So this is a really interesting card, one that we've seen, I believe, in Commander or something like that every once in a while, because it's just kind of fun. But it's a powerful ability. Being able to tap it and draw 2 cards is great. Giving it to your opponent, not so great. But they do have to give it back if they want to draw 2 cards as well. So it's a really interesting card. I don't know that I would ever really run it, to be honest. I think there are instances where you can get away with it if you're in just a really solid red deck wins. Doing something like this gives you a little bit more play long term, because once you run out of cards, which you often do in a red deck, being able to draw 2 is actually really powerful, and giving them a 2/1 that matches most of your creatures is a roadblock, but not a huge one. And so I kind of like that in that style deck, but that's really it. Whereas Pyrotechnics is just good in any deck that runs red, really. So definitely stick with the Pyrotechnics for now. Rite of Undoing is an instant for 4 and a blue. It features Delve, so you can exile cards from your graveyard while casting this, and for each card that you do, it pays for 1 generic mana. Just a key. it is only generic mana. You can't pay for the blue mana, so at the very least, this is still going to cost 1 blue, but you can actually exile 4 cards and make it only cost 1 blue, which is pretty important. Return target non-land permanent you control and target non-land permanent you don't control to their owner's hands. This is definitely good in some instances because there are enter the battlefield abilities that you might want to trigger more than once. So being able to do that for an efficient cost when you're delving is pretty good. We talked about that self-mill strategy. That's really to play into the delve mechanic. And so you want to build that up with those 2 drops that we saw and then be able to delve things out a little bit earlier than normal. Also, just a solid tempo play, bouncing your opponent's cards is great. I think I'd still rather have the Pyrotechnics as it's just a solid kill spell over something like this, but it isn't bad. And then our rare is Dragon Scale General. It's a 2/3 for 3 and a white. At the beginning of your end step, you bolster X, where X is the number of tapped creatures that you control. Bolstering means you choose the creature with the least toughness among creatures you control and put X 1/1 counters on it. So this is interesting. It's a really, really good card for go wide strategies. It's a reason to be in go wide strategies. It's also just kind of good anyway, though. So I definitely think that's going to be the card. We also got a Scoured Barrens. When it enters the battlefield, it comes into play tapped and you gain a life, and then it taps for white and a black. Pretty straightforward land, but I think Dragon Scale General is a pretty clear pick. It's a 4-drop, pretty solid creature that's going to hopefully build up your field very, very quickly, which is great. So that's definitely my pick. If you disagree, let me know in the comment section below, but hopefully if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like or a comment down below. And as always, please make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of our awesome content. But with that, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next Crack a Pack episode.